what can people do, whether they're able-bodied or not, to make sure accessibility and equal rights for people with disabilities is no longer an issue?
I think the biggest thing is you can't let anything slide by. It is so easy to be out somewhere and something happened and you think, well, I got to get to this thing or I got to do this. And I know sometimes it can be inconvenient to stop what you're doing and go and talk to somebody about what's happening. But the more times that you let that slide, the more people that get away with things. And if no one's holding them accountable, most people are not going to wake up in the morning and say, how much money of my own can I spend today to make the world a better place for people with disabilities? We don't live in unicorn world. It's just not that. It's not going to happen. And so we have to hold people accountable. So if you are out somewhere and you see something, whether it affects you or not, if it is wrong, if you wheeled up to someone who was being treated unfairly because of their ethnicity or because of their, their skin color or their gender, you would say something. It would be a big deal to you. You wouldn't just be like, I'm sure someone else will get it this time. Like, I would hope you would say something. And yet for people with disabilities, people are, number one, not even aware, but number two, even if they do see things, they just don't stop to do anything about it. And so that's got to start with us. If you are out somewhere, whether it's in, out in your community or you're traveling or you're somewhere else and you see something that is not right, which probably means it's against the law, then do something, say something about it, go to the person that's responsible for that. In this, the example that you gave about the hotel, go ahead and find the hotel manager and say, we need to talk about the parking spaces out here, and tell them, I'm going to be calling you. Here's my card. I will call you back in 2 days. And I want to know what you've done about this. Hold people accountable, give them deadlines, tell them that you will be following up. And then guess what? You have to follow up. And if they don't do anything, then you start working your way up the ladder. The worst publicity that someone could get, let's just say it's a hotel chain, is someone in a wheelchair getting on a public forum and saying, this hotel chain is actively discriminating against people with disabilities. And this is what happened. This is what I've done to try to work with them to fix it. And I'm being completely ignored, or I'm being stonewalled. Nobody wants that publicity. Who wants to be that hotel?
Right.
But again, if you don't hit them where it counts, they're not going to do anything about it. So I'm a firm believer in communicating with people and giving them a chance to right the wrong. But I'm also not going to be one of those people that's like, well, I'll give them a couple more days. Again, that would not fly anywhere else. And so you give people a deadline. If they don't meet it, you work your way up the ladder, and then you go public with things. You start talking about active discrimination. You name names. You call people out on it. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you mean or embittered about your disability. That's just you calling out an unfairness in life that you would do for anybody else. So why is it such a big deal for people with disabilities to have to do that as well? And so I think that's the biggest thing, is that you have to use your voice, however that looks and sounds. You have to communicate and you have to hold people accountable. And yes, it's more work on our end and we shouldn't have to be doing it. But again, if we don't, who's going to?
Yeah.
And I think, again, if enough people do it and we start hitting people where it counts, kind of even in like a one-on-one, individual basis, things will start changing.
Yeah.
And you can't just do it for what affects you. You have to look out for other people as well. And so for the most part, people are able to advocate for themselves, but there are going to be some people that are not able to do that. And so I think it's important for all of us to be looking out for each other as well.
Yeah, I loved everything that you just said, especially because I have a friend who has a disability, and it's with their disability, it's in the ADA, it says that movie theaters have to make the movies, for those who are visually impaired, and this movie theater refuses to do it. And they were just like, well, I don't want to, I don't want to ruffling feathers. It's okay. We'll just go to a different movie theater. And I'm like, they are taking advantage of your kindness. And they were like, I'm like, because you're not willing to step up. This movie theater can afford to do this. It's not that expensive to get this equipment. And that's what we have to remember, is that this is the law. They don't get an option. They have to abide by it. And when we stand up, not only are we advocating for ourselves, but think of how many other people will benefit from you making sure that these places have accessibility. I mean, other people with visual disabilities can watch this movie. Other people that, I mean, I just look at how many people, how many able-bodied people are benefit from wheelchair accessibility, the curb cutouts, the elevators. You know, I mean, there's it's for everyone. And I just think that when we start talking about this and start advocating for ourselves more, that it won't only benefit us, but it will benefit many other people. So,
Absolutely. You've
yeah,
never heard anyone say that they regretted making something more accessible because,
right.
again, it benefits everyone. And I hope this message resonates specifically with other minority groups. You know, I think of how women, especially like in the workplace, have been treated for decades and how they've been expected to just smile and put up with it and not, you know, if a woman brings something to the surface that is wrong, she's considered emotional or dramatic, or I mean, all these words that people use to downplay what you're doing and downplay how important it is. I kind of want to start a movement that's like, when is it our turn? Like, I feel like throughout the years, there's been all these movements for people, like whether it's their sexuality or their gender or their skin color or their ethnicity or their religion or whatever it is. There's been these movements where it's brought attention. And I feel like people with disabilities are kind of like sitting over here in the wings, like, when is it our turn? Like, we've been here a long time, you know, and kind of like a little, you know, help here as well from all of you other groups of people that know what this feels like. But for whatever reason, because it's not, I don't know. I honestly, to this day, I mean, we're talking nearly 60 million people, I think, or over 60 million people at this point with a disability. And guess what? We're the only minority group that anyone can become a part of at any time. You could literally become a part of this minority group tomorrow and or the next second of your life. And so it's not only awareness, but it's people needing to understand the importance of it. It's like we need a seat at the table. We need we need an accessible seat at the table, but we can't even park or get in the building to get a seat at the table because we're still stuck in the parking lot trying to get an accessible parking spot. And it's just, it's archaic and it's insane and it's ridiculous and it needs to stop. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of us who are vocal and we're going to keep being vocal, but we need help. We need other people to be vocal with us, and we need people to be aware and to realize what's going on and how wrong it is. So again, I hope it resonates with people in the disability community. I hope it resonates with other minority groups. And I hope it resonates with people who just want equality for everyone and see that this is a place where it's not happening. And so, yeah, I think it's our time. It's everyone's time, obviously, but it would be nice to get a little publicity about this across the country, like so many other groups have gotten, and hopefully see some changes start. But again, it's only going to happen if people are brave enough to speak up and to follow through and to see real change happen.
Well, hopefully we'll see that here. For those of you who are watching, please share this, please comment, please help us. We'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your experiences. And yeah, we're gonna step up and start making some change. And I'm excited. I'm excited to have Ashlee here today. Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time, for your thoughts. This is just so, it's just so wonderful to be here with you. Ashlee and I have talked about for a long time doing a video together. So it's fun to actually be doing this and talking about this such important topic. So thanks so much for joining us, and
Sure.
look
Thanks for
forward to hearing your thoughts. See you next time.